Should be good.
What's going on, guys? You know what it is, man. It's that You Heard podcast, man. I'm your boy Ben. That's my big brother Joe over there, man. We got a lot to talk about, man. We got a special guest jumping on with us, man. But let's get right into this intro, man. No time wasted. What you got, Joe?
Get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's work.
Let's get it. Let's work, fam. All the time, always. Let's get it. Where is this, man?
Welcome to the You Heard podcast with your hosts Ben and Joe. We cover all things Miami Hurricanes football, from hot topics to pre- and post-game analysis.
All right, we'll talk about it at the end. We'll talk about it at the end.
No. Let's talk about that right now because you completely took it on me now. Yeah, I don't appreciate that. I'm saying, like,
what are we talking about, man? Keeping it a buck.
You heard.
Hey, man, you know what it is, man. It's that You Heard pod. Look, you know, we always talk Hurricanes, man, but there's been some madness going on at another university that we had to address, man. I hit Joe up yesterday. I was like, yo, we got to talk about this, man. So let them know what we talk about, fam.
You the one who want to rant, son. You I don't know if you calmed down yet. You know what I mean? But I'm calm. I'm always calm. But if you want to, you can rant.
Why you? Here we go.
Get it out, man.
I guess that's the running thing that we do, right? Like I crack jokes on you on whatever age bracket you on, and I'm the one that rants. All right, that's it.
You know what I mean? Look, you rant. I'm calm with it. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm a calm with the. But you got something to say, son. It sounds like you got something to say.
Yeah, I got some things I got to get off my chest, man. Keeping it 100. Look, man, I know it's portal time and you can turn your roster over and all that. My whole problem with the Dion moves is that he's doing it for the gram, it feels like. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's doing it for his own vlogs, his own content. Like, I had a problem with the Mark Pope thing, not him cutting the player for whatever reason, but putting the clip out there. Right? Like, you don't know the whole story. You get in 90 seconds and we get to make our perspective, and you know what I'm saying? Perception is reality type shit. That's the part I don't respect. Like, holding back players' films, even if that's a thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't play D1 or any kind of pro college ball. Might as well be amateur ball now. It's whack to me, man. Like, and it's not that it's Dion and the whole, like, because we're Miami fans losing Cormani McClain. Look, man, Cormani, best of luck to you in whatever you do, fam. We got no hate in our heart for you at all on this podcast. But those moves of cutting play, the people leave. But him, it's going to be in a documentary for him and his fam. He's going to make money off of it. You know what I'm saying? And then not like these young men's dreams to play college ball. And then just like to take it away from, like, look, it is pick your kid up season and all that. But Mario didn't do that with the players in the video. He just said that straight to the camera. That's different to me. And it's not, maybe it's my own bias, man. I don't know. What you think?
Yeah. Listen, man, we don't know Coach Sanders. I'm not calling him Coach Prime. I'm just not doing that. No. We don't know Coach Sanders. We don't know the situations that took place. What I do know is that, in my opinion, he moves funny. You know what I mean? I ain't grow up like that. I didn't grow up you putting your family business in the street and all that. When you have a team, when you coach a team, in my opinion, that's your family. Like, those are your kids now if you're a head coach, man. You know what I mean? And, the Mark Pope situation, I agree with you. That rubbed me the wrong way, man. You know what I mean? Not that he got kicked off the team, because if you got to go, you got to go. But why would you put that out there for everybody to see, man? Why are you putting that type of business out there? Now, if something happened with your son, are you putting that out there for everybody? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't agree with the moves with that. But him, I don't know him, so whatever. Yeah. I don't know the situation with the film. I mean, I didn't like it. You know what I mean? But apparently now Colorado put out a statement saying anybody can get their film or whatever. But, that's just corny. The movements are just corny to me, and it seems from the outside looking in, he seems disingenuous to me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
Like,
definitely not rooting for anybody to fail. Like I want to see everybody. I don't care who it is. I don't want to see nobody fail. That's trash.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? But he just don't seem like off the moves, I wouldn't want to chill with him or nothing. He seemed corny.
Yep.
So
Facts. Like, and it's not like, look, it's a Miami-based podcast, right? It's what we do. It's not him being at Florida State. I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah, that was my guy. Like, he was my favorite corner.
Outside, like when he played ball, my favorite corner. But like the moves he's making, and you bring up a great point. If his son, quarterback, makes dumb moves, is he gonna do the same thing to him? Like these are people's kids. Like these are people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the fact that you're using them for your own benefit, for your own advantage. Look, coaches for, I'm not gonna say for the most part, but they are selling you on something, right? Like there's coaches that you talk, but they're not after the fact. Like if it doesn't work out at a program, they're not using your face to be like, hey, you know who? Hey, we're voting somebody off today. It's got to be you. They're not putting an Instagram clip out. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, we see the roster turnover on our team, right? The team that we root for. Like, we seen how many people have left, but Mario or anybody on the staff isn't putting a graphic out there themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they're not putting the video out, so it's the movie. Like it's so weird. I don't like for what? Like, what benefit are you getting? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's
like
weird.
It's weird. Like on the outside, like if you're looking at that as a 17, 18-year-old recruit or 22-year-old transfer port, you're like, yo, man, they could. If I mess up, my coach is gonna be the one that puts out my film. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I get cut or if I do something stupid because I'm 17 years old, like my coach, like the one that's in my living room telling me like, oh, I want kids of single moms because they work harder. And then when I'm there, because be paying attention, fam. Like that's what he said.
I know he said that. Yeah, corny.
You know what I'm saying? Like
it's just all corny.
It's just I don't know. It's all whack, man. It's all whack. But look, we ain't gonna spend too much time on that, man. We just wanted to address it. That's not what this pod is about. We talking some recruiting today with a very special guest, man. I was thinking of a name. You know, I like to have introductions for people. You know what I mean? I was thinking of a name, and I was like, we had Rasta on. You know what I'm saying? The skill position man right there. So this guy right here. I like to call him the trench work titan. You know what I mean? This guy is, you know what I'm saying? We got D. Franklin on the show, man. What's going on, family? How you doing, man?
You on. We can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Your mic. I think you're good. Oh, no.
He froze.
Now his mic isn't connected. This is live record. This is what happens, baby. This is what we do here. This gives me perfect time. You know what I'm saying? To do the air horn. He's figuring it out. All right, we'll bring you back on. You got to restart it or something?
Can you ask? See if
man. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? That's technical difficulties over there, man. Yeah, man. I was thinking about the TVD stuff too. Like it's thankfully we got on a Sunday show. We're gonna have a lawyer come on the show, man. Give y'all a heads up and talk some NIL. He's gonna do some refresh for us and let us know what to expect because I have no idea how that all works, and we got questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you thinking about Portal, man? You still we got like 2-3 days left?
Yeah, man. Hopefully we address, there's some people in town, a receiver and a who else is in town?
Defensive back.
A DB.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we're able to lock that down. I don't think it's not like they got to make decisions in the next couple days. You know what I mean? So that could be a while. The D tackle, I really hope we get is in Ohio State this weekend. So
You talking about the kid from the young man from Mississippi?
Ole Miss. Yeah.
That's Tywone Malone. Yeah, that one's
yeah.
need a body there.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we can. There's a couple of DTs, you know what I mean, but hopefully he's one of them that we can persuade to come through. But yeah, the receiver, I'm very until he announces that he's coming, you know what I mean. I'm really not gonna. He's still he's one of them guys, you know.
That's all the way.
But I really would like him on the field. But that's a dilemma, right? Like if he comes, he's taking snaps away from somebody. You know what I mean? So who is that? Because Kobe Young, I like the way he looked. I like the way Jacoby looked. You know what I mean? Who's he taking snaps away from, man? You know what I mean? It's hard.
I mean,
it's
it
will have to be number 15, son.
It'll probably have to look. It'll have to be. They're gonna have to get a blow, right? Like what it goes back to that whole conversation, like starts versus plays, right? Like, do you ride the hot hand, or do you know what I'm saying? Like how they performing in practice? Like I don't know the process of evaluation of KB, and how he goes about it. But if until the graphic comes out. And, you know what I'm saying, he's on cap. Look, he won't be practicing until the fall. There's some of the offseason program, so we really won't know what that work is like. But yeah, was he 6'3", 2 something? Like that's
fast, son. He's fast. He can catch. Yeah, I mean, 6'3". Like, hopefully the pace of the offense dictates that everybody get enough snaps. You know what I mean? That he can. I think with the offense, we can go up tempo, like real up tempo, and we can slow it down. So,
all right, man. I think our guest here, David Franklin, got his stuff together, man. I see the mic in on mute, so I think we're good. Welcome to the show, family.
What's up, man?
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? Gotta drop the air horn for you, man. What's going on?
No, I feel like I made it, man.
Good,
I got on this right here.
Nah, man.
Yeah.
Nah,
man. Don't even start with us, man. You guys are established, man.
No. Y'all got it, man. What's going on?
Not much, man. Not much. What's going on with you, man? How you been?
Good, man. Real good.
Yeah.
Another day, another dollar. You know how it is.
Yeah,
man.
Tennessee, man. Oh, I see you got one of these?
Yeah, this is bullshit. I'm on the outside. I'm on a lie. I'm outside looking in.
That's okay.
That's okay. Man, you got something. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
How's you in Tennessee, right, Dave?
Yes, sir. Yeah, right outside of Knoxville.
Are you a Titans fan? Tennessee Titan fan?
No, sir. No, I don't watch a lot of NFL. I am a Raider fan. I say that with my head hung low. It's rough, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I suffer in sports. So, but no, I'm not a type. I'm loyal, man. I've been a Raider fan since I was a kid.
Okay.
Kind of tell my age a little bit back when they were good. And so, Titans come along, but I kind of stick to where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't do NFL quite like college. It seems like on Sunday, I'm so exhausted from Saturday. From Kane, I'll watch it, but I don't get into it that much.
Yeah, you paying attention to the draft and all that?
Yeah, I'll watch the draft. Yeah, I'll pay attention and watch and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's more of a kind of an enjoyable thing. I'll watch it and just kind of let it play out. So, it is what it is. Yeah. And in NFL, well, it's kind of like that in college now, though. You get a guy, you get attached, and he's gone. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of saying that now, but. Like I said, I'm Canes lose, I'm going to be depressed about Tuesday. Wednesday I'll start drinking the Kool-Aid again, and then I'm talking. But NFL, you know what I'm saying? I watch it, I keep up with it, but I don't. It's not my heart and soul,
Yeah, I'm the same way. Saturdays, the last 20 years, After that, after those losses, I'm like, I don't want to watch the Dolphins now. Like, I don't want my whole weekend ruined. I'd rather do anything else. I'm with you on that one, man. Hey, man. So,
of course,
I'm
right here in the shadows of Neyland Stadium too. So I'm like, it's me against 100,000 on Saturday. So, and it's partially my fault. I'll talk a little bit, but every time Miami gets down by a field goal, my phone. So, I kind of come Sunday, I've had my feels. So.
And Tennessee's a strange one, right? Because like they were down for so long after Fulmer. Now they've got that new money. They don't know how to act. So now they're thinking they won everything.
New money, new offense. They're scoring points, and they got a nice win last year. Against Bama, and and all that. So they're excited. I don't blame them. I would be doing the same thing. I don't blame you for being excited, but I don't have to listen to us. It's all good.
Speaking of last year, I always like to ask, how were you processing last year through the 5-7, knowing the changes that were coming and because you really into this recruiting and player and you get to know the players and all these things, so like you have a different perspective. Like, I'm new to the game, Joe's been in it, but how were you processing last year? Did you have the mature look, like, I kind of knew this was coming, or like, holy, this sucks? What was last year?
I started out mature, and about halfway through, it was, holy shit, this sucks. So because 5-7, right? No way. Like, I knew, 7 wins, something. It's going to be some growing pains and all that thing. But the 5-7 and the way it happened, just injury upon injury upon injury, and then by the week 7, 8, 9, man, we're just so depleted, and we're just kind of dragging around and literally trying to get through. Luckily, I was excited as far as recruiting, to see that class kind of step up and took that challenge on. You know what I'm saying, is we're going to be that group, and that was all good, and it worked, and we kept them, intact. And now I think going forward, 24, you're going to have to put a few wins in that column to reel some guys in. You know what I'm saying? It sounds good. We need you here to change, and we got that group. Now we need a little improvement. You know what I'm saying? We don't need a natty, nothing like that, but we need 8, 9 wins. It's going to look good.
Although that'll help. You know what I mean? I'm all for the natty, playoff something. All right, so
nobody's gonna turn out a natty, son. Like
the trenches. We going the trenches. So the class that just came in, right? So without mentioning Ruben Bain, Francis Mauigoa, or Sampson, who do you look for to really contribute in the trenches without mentioning any of those three?
I think when you look on both sides, offense, defense, you look at the trenches, interior, you look at the edge, you look at the tackles and all that. I think Jaden Wayne's looking really good. Hearing good things about him, as far as coming off that edge. Talk to his dad a little bit from time to time, nothing too in depth, but, stay in touch a little bit. Solid kid, good head on his shoulders. He's growing, he's getting bigger, he's taking a lot in. And I love the fact, obviously, with Jason Taylor being there, you know what I'm saying? Now you've got, and I'm trying to spin this as well. You want to be coached by an NFL, a former NFL guy. You come here and you get two. You know what I'm saying? So I think you take a guy like Kim, and then when you look on the offensive side of the ball, I think you mentioned Francis and you mentioned Sampson both, but you take them out and you look at the others that we brought in. I think Frankie Tenellau is a guy that's got crazy potential. I don't think you're going to see anything right off the bat, but one thing you can't do is teach that size. And I think I love the fact that he was identified early on. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the early ones to go ahead and make the jump. And I think there's something there that was seen in him that, you bring him in, but then you bring in these other big names where he doesn't have to come in and take that right away. He can come in, he can work, he can develop, he can learn how to move, he can learn the schemes, he can learn all that. So, I think Frankie Tenellau is a guy that folks need to be a little bit more excited about.
Nice.
Okay. Now, jumping back to Mario's first semi-recruiting time, right, with the Ahmad Moten and the Ja'Cory Brown closing. What are your, because you got to watch the spring game. We were at the spring game and rewatched it a couple of times. What were your thoughts on? Look, I'm I don't want to be like the flag bearer for it, but like I'm getting pretty high on as I watch more on Ahmad Moten, right? Like I'm liking when I'm liking when I'm seeing what did you see on tape and at the spring game that showed you something. Obviously, it wasn't the starting guards, but just the movement.
No, I think Moden's one of those guys. I'm excited about him and a couple other dudes. He's kind of one of those, for me, I told you so guys, because you should have been higher on him coming in because he's an absolute stud. He's just that guy. And I think he's showing that now. Another dude, I know quarterback side, Emory Williams, to me is I told you so. I think that dude right there is going to be, I'm just telling you, man, that's a dude I've been big on for a minute. Coming in, a lot of folks, oh man, where's all the stars at? You know what I'm saying? But I think he showed a little something there. I'm not taking anything away from Jakari. I think Jakari can be that next dude, but also we might have a little competition, right? A little quarterback competition, and that's good. That's something that we don't always have. So I think two guys like that. You said a while ago I couldn't mention Reuben Baines, and that means I get to mention him now. And there's no way you watch the spring game.
Definitely.
No way you watch the spring game and don't mention him. And if the black shirts off those quarterbacks, those 3 sacks are probably going to double. You know what I'm saying? So, they stopped him short on a few, but I think him. I know we all know that. I know we all expect it, but just to see him out there going against Francis and some of these guys and still doing what he's doing, I think that's amazing to me. And the thing I liked about Emory was when he's having that success, and he's having success with Ray and some of these dudes, Mr. Washington and some of these younger guys, and you could see that excitement. You can kind of see there's a little camaraderie already there. I know
the energy felt better.
Yeah, I know for a fact him, Jackson Carver, I know they room together. I know they're constantly on the field, and practice is not going on. They either watching film, they on the practice field, they're working, they're doing these things. You hear about Ray constantly, if he's not at practice, he's showing up early. He's on that jug machine constantly. He's just doing all these things, and he's your incoming freshman. So for me, recruiting side and all that, that's one thing I was excited about, is seeing the passion and the work ethic that these young kids have.
Yeah, definitely. When you watch the spring game, we saw it seemed to us that the D line kind of really dominated the O line a little bit. What is your perspective on that? Was it like as clear cut as we think, or do you think it was a little bit more even?
Yeah, no, I think, you watch it, right? Film is film, and it don't lie. And you can watch the game, and you saw the success that they had. And I think with the offensive line, I think first 5, when they roll out a first 5, and if it's, Mr. Lee and the boys, you're good. I think you've got a really, really good group. I think what we got to do, we finally got that though. So let's take that as a positive. What we got to do now is be able to put some guys behind them. We got to have a little bit of depth, and whether that's going to come transfer, more transfers, whether you're going to continue that with recruiting, whether somebody else steps up. Like I said, it was just spring. I try not to get too up or down on spring game, right? You're kind of knocking some rust off and that sort of thing. And you either go one or two ways usually. Either spring game, man, we're back. They looked really, really good. Or, man, here we go again. It's just spring. Just chill. Just calm down. But, yeah, D-line absolutely dominated. And I think a little of that has to come from, it's a no-brainer, a little bit of coaching. You got Jason Taylor out there. You still got Coach Joshin. You got 2 guys coaching up that line. And I think Coach Miraball's kind of starting to get what he wants on the offensive side of the ball, but I think you got to get some guys behind them, especially when you got that D-line and that O-line going. I think the D-line just a little bit deeper on guys they can rotate in and out, you know what I'm saying, against that offensive line. So I think the O-line's going to be better. And I think they looked a little bit better and played a little better than some people thought. I just think that D-line was just overwhelming, honestly.
Yeah, building that quality depth is going to be vital. My bad. It's going to be vital, man, because like you said, the first 5, if we're rolling out Jalen Rivers, Javion Cohen, Matt Lee, Inez Cooper, Francis,
Zion Nelson.
Where's Zion Nelson? Hopefully he's healthy. We're going to have to, injuries happen. We know that. we're definitely gonna have to find some viable guys that can step in if something happens, you know.
Yeah, guys to step in and give quality, quality refs, not just come in to give a breather here and there, because like you said, injuries happen. And if you haven't picked up on that yet, you were sleeping through all of last season, and especially on that O-line. I don't care. I'm so big on the trenches. Like I don't care who you are at quarterback. You're not going to complete a pass laying on your back. And, I don't care what your 40 time is as a slot receiver. You're not going to do nothing if they can't get you the ball. You got to have those trenches, and you got to have that O-line. And when you look at, you watch the playoffs every year, and you see consistently your Bamas and the Georgias and Ohio States and all that, we just don't look like that. And I'm not talking about just the way they play. I'm not about stepping off the bus. We just don't look like that. So right now, again, first five looking good, looking better. Zion still, in the picture, so you still got some guys, a little bit of depth there if he can get back to where he was. But over time, you just got to continue to just develop that and get those guys coming in behind them, so you get to that, so everybody else can do their job.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, and you're right about that. Coming off the bus, we haven't looked how we should. We were at spring game, and you see, we're not going to say names. You see the differences of the older players, right, that have been here, and the new guys, the new crop. You see certain numbers. I was like, man, that guy plays football. And then you see another one like, holy shit, that guy plays football. Like seeing, I'll go with the positive. Like seeing a Javion Cohen and a CeCe Margot, I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't know humans can get that big. And I lived in Hawaii for a while. Like seeing, and then you see another one like, hey man, you're a senior? Like, how do you look like that still? So that I think that was the biggest difference of seeing that. I wanted to ask you, the impact of Jason Taylor is going to be huge. And I think we already started to see some of that impact on a guy on the roster in Cyrus Moss, right? Like he has a bend and is a smaller guy, right? But what are your thoughts on a Cyrus Moss in the trenches, given he is a younger guy and he has the perfect specimen of a body, right? Like to be like, oh, I could do this if looking at JT.
Yeah, there a lot of concern over him not gaining weight and not looking like folks think he should have looked by now and all that stuff. But then when I hear Jason Taylor come out and say, well, they called me skinny, and then they call me skinny in Canton, I'm done. I mean, what do you want me to argue? What am I supposed to say? You know what I'm saying? If Jason Taylor, you know what I'm saying, if he believes in the young man and he thinks he can develop him and work with him and the size is going to come or it's not going to come, but he can still coach him to play the way he needs to play with his body, I'm fine. Any other time, I would probably be a little bit concerned. I'm not going to lie, but Jason Taylor's there, and it's very similar, like you said, when you look at their body types and things like that. I think he's starting to make a little bit of progress, and a lot of that, once he gets that mental side to it and has some success and gets his confidence down and things like that, as long as Jason Taylor's backing him up, man, I'm all in. I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah, it's true. You got
I think Coach Guidry is going to find a great way to use him. As we saw in the spring game, they had him dropping in the flats, and he looked real good doing it. He looked quick. He looked like he knew what he was doing, and the bend off the edge is just stupid.
Stupid.
I think folks get so wrapped up when they think defensive line. They think you got to be this, massive human being to play there, and it's just not that game anymore. I don't know that it always has been, but now especially, it's not that game anymore. You mentioned Coach Guidry, and that's a great point because he uses guys in different ways. Schemes guys different ways, has different looks, he's going to need different types of guys in his defense. Yeah. And like I said, his bend and the way he comes around that edge, I mean, I don't have no issues with it. It looked pretty good to me. So, I think in this defense and in this day and time, I think he's probably the guy that you're going to want, honestly.
Right. And think about an offensive line when you got Cyrus Moss standing up, a tackle, Think about a tackle. You got Cyrus Smart standing up, and then the next play, you got Ruben Maine standing up, and then you got Jaden Wayne coming. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? That's 3 different types coming at you. You know, different moves, different styles. Yeah, man. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Coach Guidry's just creative enough to do it too.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it becomes overwhelming and suffocating and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you mentioned 3 big-time players right there. You know what I'm saying? And you rotate those guys in this side and that side and different looks and all that. And like you said, I think Coach Guidry he's a great fit, man. I'm not going to lie. When I first saw that we hired him, I pulled over because I was driving. And I was like, wait, who? What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All right, come on. I'm not going to do this. So I did a little research, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to trust Mario. And now the more, once I start doing my homework and all that sort of stuff, and then you hear him talk and things like that, I think he's a great fit, man. I think it's going to work out well.
Yep.
You know whose energy he reminds me a lot of? Art Kehoe from back, like that, like kind of like toughness. Right, like that kind of energy, that kind of like accent where like he's no nonsense, but he's teaching you every second while he's talking to you. That's who he's always like. To me, I was like, oh, it's Art Kehoe Jr. Okay, but on defense, cool.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
He's that hard-nosed coaching style, but it's that style that you want. You know what I'm saying? It's not the negative where it's going to, take away your confidence. You want to be coached like that, honestly. And I agree with you. I think that whole style is a perfect fit here.
Yeah, it's a style like there. I'm not gonna say Mario's recreating that time, right? Because it's impossible to recreate because what we're in now is totally different than the 90s and the 80s. That what with the new stuff of the transfer portal and recruiting, where do you fall on it? Like, because I tend to look at the transfer portal more like a patchwork thing. Like if you missed on one guy, or if you want to give that freshman a year or two to develop and put a guy in front of him, kind of do it like that. But it's not something that you should entirely rely on, in my perspective. What about you, Dave? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I love the portal because I think it's a great opportunity to fix some spots really, really quick. But I don't follow it quite like recruiting, just because it's so overwhelming to me. Like recruiting is hard to keep up with on its own.
Fact.
With the portal, you've got you can blink and there's 2,000 more guys in it that were in it 6 hours ago. And the problem with that, and that's why I leave this up to the experts. I don't make that kind of money. I don't get paid to do this. There's always you got to find out, why is he leaving? Why is he transferring? There's always a story. It's not always bad. Sometimes it's, but you got to find that stuff out. Yeah. And Miami fans, we think every single person goes in the portal we should get. Every single one. Oh man.
Tell me about
it. This guy's in it. What do you think about him? And then people, when I say, I don't know who that is, they're like, I thought you were recruiting. I am, but I don't know him. He's from Southwest. I don't know who I'm sorry. Well, man, he runs a 4.340. All right, but he's leaving. I mean, what's the backstory there? What's he, he runs a 4.340, but has he been on the field or has he been running it on the sideline for 3? There's just a lot into it. So I don't put a whole lot into it, but I do like it. Don't get me wrong. And I think it's a great tool. And I love the fact that we're in a position to use it and utilize it. And I think now you don't necessarily have to go when you get a new head coach. Everybody always says, well, it takes at least 4 years. Not necessarily anymore, because depending on what your roster looks like, you can go in. You know what I'm saying? If you walk into not a terrible situation, you can bring some dudes in. And we've done a great job. Mr. Malgo at linebacker for one, and some guys like that are going to come in and they're going to play right away and make an impact. So I think the portal's great. I love it. I just don't keep up with it quite until I know it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Or you start hearing, we're really in on this guy. He's going to visit. Then I might go kind of start looking around. But I don't just go, oh, man, this dude hit the ball. I got to find out about it.
Yeah, it's impossible to track them all.
Yeah, we talked about that. We were talking about it earlier offline. But speaking of the portal, like when you bring a kid in, let's for example, let's say we bring in a receiver, that a pretty good receiver from another school that we
he's
won't
about
name.
6'3", 200
let's
pounds.
say we bring he comes in. In your opinion, man, how does that affect that room? because after spring, I know I felt better about the wide receiver room. Like, I really do. Like, Kobe Young looks so much better. He just looks more complete now. He looks like a receiver now. Jacoby George looks healthy. He looks good, man. Ray X has always been there. So you bring this guy in, he's going to take some snaps. I think he's going to take some snaps. So how do you feel that, that leaves the room, man, morale-wise?
Yeah, it's funny because I was on the phone this afternoon and we were talking about this, and we talked about everything you just said. And we said, Jacoby, man, he looked healthy. He looked fresh. He said Kevin Beard's the best receiver coach he's had, and you could see a difference, man, with him out there.
Yes.
Kobe, you could tell Kobe's had a full cycle now. His body's better.
Yes.
He's in shape. He's up to speed on the playbook. He's he's made that full transition now. Last year, you'd see Kobe, man, you'd see a flash. Dang, you look good. And then you're like, where's he at? Where'd he go? He's over there, getting water a little bit. But now he's full speed and he's ready to go. So I feel really good about it. I still want a few guys to come in, and I hope that part of this transition with the roster and flipping the roster and bringing guys in and having guys stay and things like that. Now the mindset is when you bring that guy in, he's going to take some snaps. That dude, he could start, but now you guys, Kobe's and stuff like that, got to be like, all right. You're not taking my spot though. Right. You might take his, but you're not taking mine. The more the merrier. Come on, because now we want to win. You know what I'm saying? This is about the team. It's a bigger picture. So I'm hoping that whole attitude has changed. Whereas before, you bring a guy like him in, you might have a dude go, man, come on. If you bring him in, I'm out. But I think now, and I hope, and I think that's changed a little bit. That whole attitude in the locker room, and I hope it has, because I don't care what they say. I want the dude. I want him here, and I want him here. I'm not gonna lie, and I think when he comes in, he's either going to take a spot, but he's definitely going to take some snaps. I can promise you that. But that's what we want. That's what we need.
Yeah, definitely.
I think when Joe, that's a great question, man. I think what happens is we tend to think like those four is all we need. Like you can have injuries. You need depth. I don't want if Jacoby George goes down, right? Because it's happened, right? Or whoever gets injured. Hopefully, everybody has that next guy. I want that next guy to be like just like him or better. We're like, like Jacoby George was holding him off the field. How then that tells you something about Jacoby George. Now, like, hold up, man. Like, there's a receiver that came from a university that we were like, oh man, you were a 5-star coming out of high school, and now he can't even see the field. We didn't see him at spring game where we had questions. I was like, I don't want that. I want guys to challenge for spots. I don't that whole mentality of like, I can't believe I lost my spot to him. And I was like, no, you're not taking my spot. I'm gonna show you why. I don't want you tweeting at us. I want you saying that in the locker room.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I want, like you said, if a guy does go down, I don't want it to happen, but say somebody gets injured, I want the next guy to come in and we don't skip a beat. You just keep going. Yep. And it's kind of like when your big name programs, your championship programs, when they lose, say a receiver goes down, the whole country freaks out. The only people not freaked out are them, because they just got the next dude over here. They're like, come on. And next thing you know, he's a household name. So that's where we got to get to. It's going to take a minute. We're not there yet, but bringing in guys like that and putting him in that room, whether he's a starter or a rotational player, whatever, it just makes everything great. Because like you said, again, as Miami fans, we think we should just have 4 receivers. That's all we need. Let's go. Let's go. How come we didn't win at all? We got 3 really good guys at wide receiver, because you got to have a whole lot more than that, especially to run this offense.
Yeah,
because guys going to be tired.
And hopefully that's the mentality change, right? Like the it's bigger than me mentality, and I don't want to be 5-7 ever again in life, because we talked about like a guy like Ruben Bain who's never 4 championships in 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, how can I go from that to 5-7? Like, he might not know how to act. His first loss in college, he might be like, "What the hell?" You know what I mean? Like,
And I
So what
think a
is
lot of
this?
that goes into it. A lot of that goes into recruiting too, as far as that mentality when they're coming out of high school. You know what I'm saying? Did you come from a winner? Are you used to winning? You know what I'm saying? A dude that comes in, he's won, like you said, 4 state titles. He don't know what it's like not to win.
Mm-hmm.
He not gonna come here. He don't want to be 5-7. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen. So I think that whole mentality, that's where you see the change because they come in with it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to instill it with them once they get here. They've had that mentality, for years. So that's kind of the sort of guys that you want to go after.
Yeah. Bunch of sore
let me ask
losers.
you, David. Yeah, I hate losing. So yeah, I want people to just be miserable. I say it all the time. I want people players on the field grabbing face masks, screaming on each other's faces, just holding everybody accountable. Let me ask you. So recruiting is your thing, and I wanted to ask you like this: when Mario recruits, right? I've never I don't understand that level of obsession, right? Like the way he does it. How does he approach it where like he can know a wide receiver quarterback combo from Idaho, you know what I mean, to like offer them as a walk-on, to know like that into the weeds? Like I know it's like historic that the man doesn't sleep, but how does he find all of that? And it must be exhausting. How does he where does that come from? And second part is like, how does he go about building those relationships where everybody that he's been recruiting goes, he's the most in contact with me that there is? Like how? You know what I mean? Just how personally, just basically the question.
First of all, I have no idea how. I don't know how he does it and then functions. Like when I get really, really tired, my head all foggy and I'm kind of, but he never said. Guys like that are just built different. They just are. And number one, I think for him is it's a true passion. Like it's not work for him. It's literally not. This is his passion. Number one, Miami, but number two, recruiting, which was a big reason I wanted him back here because I knew what he wanted. I also knew what he was leaving. He had a pretty nice setup. You know what I'm saying? So I knew if he came here, all the boxes had to be checked. Things had to be in play. Things had to be moving the right way. And so, as far as, how does he find all these dudes, the Idahos and all them dudes that way and all this stuff, it just starts at such an early age. When you see these kids getting recruited in 7th grade and 8th grade and people are like, what? That's crazy. That's what it takes because you start recruiting these kids in the 8th grade and things like that. Then by the time they're freshmen and sophomores and juniors, you've had that relationship going for 3 and 4 years. And that's what recruiting is. And that's why Mario's so good at it because it's relationships. And you hear it time and time again from dudes that played for him at Oregon, from guys he recruited at Bama, wherever he's been. They all tell you, man, that he tells you it's always the same feel. You know what I'm saying? You can come visit Miami. You can talk to Mario in, March. You can come back in June and bring your family, and nothing's changed. It's not just a pitch. You know what I'm saying? It's not just to get you here. It's genuine, man. It's heartfelt, and like I said, it's his passion. And I'm gonna give Mario a plug real quick, man. I know this is not to answer your question, but we're talking about him and just talk about his relentless work effort with recruiting. When Rasta and I were fortunate enough to have him on our show, he contacted him and all this stuff and get him on the show. And when it comes down to it, Mario hits him up. He's like, is this, recorder soon? Like Ross like, no, it's live. And he goes, oh man, what? It's live. And I'm like, here we go. So he's like, man, there's so much going on right now. I'm in my office. Mario leaves campus, goes to his house, gets on our show so he's not interrupted, gets done, and then heads back. And like, we don't get off till like 10 o'clock.
That's right.
The man had been there since like 4 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So it's non-stop. And I know with him, you talk to recruits and they said they'll get a text message from him at 5:36 in the morning. They get another one that night. And then between those times, they got a couple more, from staff members. So it's not just him, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. And that's how you kind of get it done. You got to have a staff full of recruiters just like you, and you got to be able to put in that workload. And I think sometimes that might be a problem because you come and you work for someone like that. And after a while, man, it just starts to drain you. It takes a toll. I mean, you're just human, right? You can only work so much.
Yeah.
There's Mario. he's still doing it. So I think that's answered your question, is the way you do that and you find all these guys, you've got to have an entire staff to do it. And I'm not just talking about on-field coaches. You've got to have their recruiting department could out-recruit on-field coaches in some places. I mean, those dudes right there, Pop Cooney and Coach Rump and Patton, all those dudes, man, they're working nonstop, and that's what they do. I can't imagine the workload being in a recruiting department under Mario Cristobal. And so, you've got a whole, room full of people working for the same goal. And that's how you go and you find these dudes. And once you identify them, you start building those relationships as early as you possibly can. So when it comes time for the 24, the 25, the 26 class, you've already got 3 to 4 years, built in, not just with them, but with the families and the coaches and the high schools and all that stuff. So it never stops, man. Recruiting never, ever, ever, ever stops. And that's one reason I like it. It gets me through that depression when the season ends till it starts again. What am I going to do? Well, if you get into recruiting, you're going to stay busy, and that's one reason I kind of started following it a little bit, was just kind of get me through that. Because like I said, I'm not a huge NFL guy. I'm not a huge NBA or baseball guy. No, it's really it. And so for me, it kind of gets me through all that. And then when you get somebody, Mario, who does it so well, it just makes it even more exciting. So I think it just takes a whole staff and a whole building full of folks to do it on the level that he does it.
And that's what we often hear, man. The common denominator is genuine. We hear that all the time from kids, young men, parents,
shout out to
Wholesome. Parents, you know what I mean? Staff member, we hear that all the time. Like, he's genuine, and real recognizes real, man. You can always spot who's genuine and who isn't. You know what I mean? So that's
you can see right through that. And when you talk to one person, they tell you something, it may or may not be, but when every single person consistently tells you pretty much the same thing, there's something to it. And you see so many of these young men that come in and they visit, and then the first thing they say is, I want to come back, bring my family. And they bring the family, and it's just the same as they go home and tell them what happened. And now mom and dad want to see it, and they get here, and it's exactly what they told them, and it never changes year to year. And I think that's the big thing, and that's why he's so good at it. It's a passion and it's heartfelt.
Yeah, and it's gonna be unfair. It's gonna be really we've always said, man, if the results start to show on the field, man, we start winning 10 consistently, start winning ACC consistently. It's not gonna be right. It's not gonna be right, man. It's gonna be out of control.
Let's go, man.
It's gonna be out of control.
Bro, oh my God.
When you start looking at these guys been on campus the last few weeks, and I mean, well, you just look at the defensive line prospects that have been on, and you can just go home. Like, you just look at those dudes, and that's a red carpet event. And when you start putting some wins on, and like I said, we don't even have to win 12 games. We win 7, 8 games this year and just show that improvement. Show that some of the guys that came in last year are being developed and are helping out, and it's making a difference, and you're starting to see a little bit of a change. Now you get some of these dudes on board, and now that next wave comes on, and now you just get to that next tier. So, yeah, man, you start winning some ball games, it's going to get real fun around here.
Yeah. We were at spring game hanging out with one of our guys, Zuby Charles. We're seeing the recruits come in, and we got to see, was it Justin Scott?
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something.
The building.
I couldn't see past him. I think 16, 17-year-old young man. I was like, that's Justin. I could not believe it. I was like, that guy, he looks bigger than some of our seniors.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah. These dudes are they're just mammoths, man. They're just huge. And then they're so big, and you think, okay, he's a big dude, he's probably just going to plug somebody. No, man, they get on the field and they can move around and, do things that young men that size shouldn't be able to do, and they can. And it's just, it's just amazing. And then when you look at, just that class, and then you look at, some dudes we already got on board, like you talk about offensive line, like Wamanaya, like he's crazy. His strength at 16 years old, you know.
No.
I think I saw somewhere what he benched 225 like 21, 22 times or something like that. 23. He's 16 years old.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I think last year at the combine, the most was like 28, 29, 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's at 16 years old. And he's 6'6", 330 pounds. And when you hear folks talk about him, then they mention possibly maybe moving him inside. And I'm like, bro, the day that we got interior guys 6'6", 330, 340 pounds, man, sign me up, you know. So that whole you're recruiting a different, you know, a young man, a different mindset, but they just look different. Like you said, just walking into events, getting off the bus, like we said, they just look different, man. And it's been a long time since we've gone after and actually landed dudes like that.
Yeah, so just to, you know, get into a little bit of recruiting, man, for 24, man. So we mentioned Justin Scott.
Yeah.
David Stone.
David. T.A. Cunningham.
Jaden Jackson.
Woo! Yeah.
What are your feelings on those three, man? Like, what are your feelings on those guys?
I think a lot of people right off the bat, the first two guys you mentioned, they're like, yeah. But if you ain't on Jaden Jackson right now, I'm just going to tell you, you better go look at that, man. Like, yeah.
Boy, man.
Yeah. You look at that David Stone, Cunningham, Justin Scott, Aiden Breland, you know, out of Cali, Kamarian Franklin. There's just like the list just keeps going on and on and on.
Cunningham.
Yeah, it just keeps going. So, you know, you give me, it's literally like it's such a good problem to have. You just give me a mix of like three of them guys and I'm good. Like you really can't go wrong, honestly. You know what I'm saying? They're all similar, you know, big athletic dudes. And they're like ready. You look at these cats and you're like, they could be ready right now, you know, legit. And that's just so different than what we've done in the past. But I think if you take any mix of those three, all the names that we just said, if you bring me three of those guys right there, man, you ain't gonna hear no complaints out of me. And I think once you start to get guys like that, then, you know, talent follows talent. And once you get a couple of those guys on board and they come in, and when they see young guys like Ruben Bain, and some of them mentioned that, you know, you see Ruben and you see what he did and you see what he's doing and the success he's having, you know, that just shows that, again, it's legit. This isn't just a pitch. You can come in here and if you do the right things and you work hard and you do all the little things, you've got an opportunity to come in and play right now. And that's what a lot of them want to do. They want to play right now, but they also want to win. Because these dudes also, here's the flip side. When you recruit guys like that, they got options, right? Yes. They got options. And a lot of them have the mindset, I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm going to play right now wherever I go. Yeah. That's how a lot of them think. And that's great. But you got to understand they've got options. You know what I'm saying? They could go somewhere and guaranteed basically be in the college football playoff next year. So you've got to show that improvement and show that you're going to take that next step. But I think showing guys not just winning on the field, but I think showing guys like Ruben Bain and Malgo and things like that, I think it's important. If they have really good years, it's going to show or do wonders towards recruiting, because all these guys aren't going to announce, you know, right away. Some of them are going to want to see a little something, see what happens. Am I just hearing this again? And I think once you see some of those young cats have some success, then you might start to see some of these other guys kind of hop on board. And once one or two of them pop, here we go. It's going to get fun. And like I said, I know we've mentioned the coaching already, but I think you can't talk about it enough, especially on the D-line. You got two D-line coaches, both NFL guys. And so it's just a great opportunity, you know, plus a head coach who's determined to fix these trenches on both sides. So, you know, it's a good look for the defensive line right now, recruiting wise.
As far as recruiting on now, let's flip it to the O-line. What are some names that are under the radar for you as far as the O-line? Because you see a one Minaya, which they project to be like an interior offensive lineman, who they historically interior offensive line never give a fourth star to. I don't know. I don't know. I stopped caring about stars long ago, but when I said fuck it forever, was when Ruben Bain doesn't get a 5th star. If 60 sacks in 2 years doesn't get you 5 stars in the hardest conference in the country, I don't know what does. But what are some guys for our listeners and for us to be on the lookout, to look at their huddle, that Mario and the staff and even yourself are excited to watch and possibly see in a Canes commitment video?
Yeah, well, for me, when you're talking offensive line in 24 class, if you're not on board with Brandon Baker, I don't know what you're doing. He's top of the list for a lot of people. He's a dude that moves. It's just insane to watch somebody that big and just move like that, so light on his feet. He's got the ability to play, multiple spots. Can kind of line up wherever you need him to. But also, what I love about him is he's from California. And there's several names out in California that if you could land someone like that, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully that's going to open up a little something there and bring even more in, not just him. Daniel Calhoun out of Georgia is a dude that you can't teach size. And to me, the O-line is probably the toughest group to evaluate going from high school to college, because if you're 6'5", 6'6", 330 pounds, you should be pushing people around. You know what I'm saying? And if you go turn on the highlight film
in high school,
if you turn on, in high school, if you turn on the highlight film for most of your offensive linemen, you're going to have 3, 4, 5 minutes of taking a dude that's 100 pounds lighter than you, pushing him clear to the concession stand and dropping him off on the interstate and then coming back. And that's great. That's good. I like to see the aggression. We all do. But there's more to it. You know what I'm saying? You want to see some footwork. You want to see, how do they bend? How do they move and things like that. That's why I like to see a little bit of camp film as well. And a lot of people are like, well, camp, they don't have pads and things. That's kind of why I actually like to see a little bit of camp film, because you got 2 guys lined up one-on-one. You know what the goal is. As soon as that pops, this dude's trying to get to that spot, and you got to stop him. You know what I'm saying? Can you do it when he's got a full head of steam and he's coming straight down your throat? Can you stop him? Can you move him? Can you push him around a little bit, rather than just take a dude? And it's another dude that's, don't lose your mind when I say 4-star and 5-star. I know you don't like stars, but it's another dude that's got those accolades. And you're kind of going against each other. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of, a little more level playing field. But Daniel Calhoun out of Georgia, just absolute mammoth. Another one. We've talked about the way these kids look. Cam Pringle and Josiah Thompson, who are both South Carolina. I don't know what South Carolina is selling them on the offensive line, but they have really
South Carolina recruiting is sleepy. It's very. Didn't they just get Mike Williams, the O-line? Got the O-line.
They are just stacking. They've got either 4, maybe 5 now, but I know they got 4. Just really, really, really good players on that offensive line. So they definitely doing something up there. Dude out of Washington, Papa Afua, who is another just a mammoth dude, and just an absolute guy that you could literally see him coming in here, kind of like Malagoa could literally come in and literally day one, he's going to start taking some spots. You know what I'm saying? So those are some guys like tackle guys. Liam Andrews is a kid out of Massachusetts, and the thing about him is his technical side. He's got his hands, his feet, the way he moves. He just does the right things. He's in the right place at the right time. And I know Coach Mirabal likes to coach up a lot of that, your angles and the way you're moving and, things like that. So Liam Andrews, I think, would fit good. Dude out of Pine Forest, Jonathan Daniels, I don't think it's talked about near enough. I've heard mentioned that Mirabal really, really likes him. Heard from a former coach of his that Mirabal thinks he's one of the top, maybe not, if not even the top offensive lineman in the whole state. He's that good. And, I don't know what his plans are. I don't know, where he's at on the board, but he's a guy that I like. And then Eddie Pierre Luis is a guy that I fought for several years, and I'm really proud of him, the way he is truly grown, but not just in his body, in his game and in his play. He's become a guy that's just an absolute beast out there. And like I said, I've kind of watched him and followed him for 2 or 3 years, and to see him get to where he's at right now. So, those are several guys. And then Joseph Inoda, a kid that we're high on. I think he's high on us. What I like about him so much is he's going to transition. He's going to be that center. And when you talk about offensive line, everybody automatically thinks tackles, and you got to have that center to kind of hold everything and direct.
The quarterback of the O line right there
has to, and he's that guy. Very intelligent kid, just an outstanding young man, and he's going to be that center. And so I think you get him in here, get him in now, and let him kind of follow Matt Lee around, for a year or so, as long as he's going to be here. And then you possibly got your center for the future. And I think that's important right
now. Yeah, cool. Do we really have a chance with Colin Simmons,
man? Everybody says we do. I'm riding it, man. I'm going to take it. It's it's crazy. Like, you see these names, and the first thing, and again, I know we've referenced this several times as Miami fans, there's no way he's going to come here. No way that guy's going to come here.
Yep.
And once they get around campus, or they get around the staff, or they get around Mario, that head turns just a little bit. And now all of a sudden we're talking, and now we've got a shot. I do think we have a shot. How good of a shot, I don't know, because that's one of those. I
can't see him getting out of Texas, man. He's in Texas. I can't see. I love his film. Like,
yeah. After last year's class, I made a vow, and I'm going to stick to it. I will never doubt Mario again when it comes to recruiting. So I get what you're saying. He's in Texas, and it's hard to get them dudes out of Texas. You know what I'm saying? It is. It's tough to get them out of there. But if anybody can do it, you know what I mean? Like I said, do we have a shot? Yes. How good of a shot? Don't really know, because that's one of those you almost don't even want to think about it, because you don't want that. Because if that were to happen,
he's that guy. Very good. He's very good.
That is very good. That's like a program changer. Like that's one of those guys. He's a program changer. He's a class changer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he is that dude. I mean, if you can do something like that, not to mention where he's from, that just opens up the door for more to come through. Because if you can land a cat like that and everybody else sees it, good grief.
Thinking about what Coach Guidry could do with him, man. Lord have mercy, man.
So now you take Coach Guidry, and you take Mario Cristobal, and you take Jason Taylor, and you get in that living room.
Got to.
I mean, you got to like your chance.
Shine up them loafers, baby. Shine up them
loafers. Get a brand new Kenny and put there in the little, Kenny loafers, man. Shine that thing up. Put a quarter in there. I don't care. But, man, you get those dudes and you get in that living room. I mean, you got to like our chances if we get that far into it. You know what I'm saying? If we get in-house, man, that's where things get spooky.
Yeah, Jason Taylor needs to wear his gold jacket in living rooms, man.
Yeah.
Come through with the gold jacket on, man.
Yeah. Bring two of them. When he got one on and one for the recruit, you know what I'm saying? You put that on, and this is what it feels like, and all that good stuff. The thing about that is, man, nobody can take that away. That's legit. That happened. We have a Hall of Famer on staff.
Yeah.
And
that's obsessed. That's obsessed with recruiting too. He absolutely loves it.
Yeah, man, I was so excited to get him. As an analyst is one thing, but to get him on field, because everybody you talk to that would see at practice is like, man, he coaches not just as hard, but harder than the other. And he's just as an analyst, because a lot of folks thought, you always hear that, the NFL guy, he doesn't have to do this. Is he going to be passionate about it?
Right,
bro. He's not taking a step back. And so it's not just kind of going through the motions, I'm going to be here for a year or so and we'll see. No, he's fully invested, and, he's into it with recruiting. And I think he has that mindset to how, dudes like that are wired like that, a Hall of Famer guy. Right. So now he wants to coach. That's his name out there. You know what I'm saying? That's him. He wants to put a stamp on that. He don't want to do that for a year or so and then he's gone. He wants to be that guy, and he's going to be that guy. I don't know. You guys probably saw, Coach Guidry said, he's going to be a DC, and a head coach one day. There's no doubt about it. He wants to do that. He's got that passion. He wants to take that next step, and thank God he's doing it here. That's all I can say.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And it's like the perfect time to bring him on with the defensive line class that's coming in into this 24. Like I remember seeing a report that David Stone said, yeah, because David Stone's 17, 18 years old. He's like, I don't know who Jason Taylor is because he never saw the footage. Then he's like, oh, I love Jason Taylor. Like 2 weeks later, because then he spent those back-to-back weekends. He was like, that's an amazing coach. Like that, he is gonna be a game changer. Now, as far as look, it's April. We're rational here on the show. We don't freak out about where our standing is as far as recruits and all that stuff. But when last year we saw the change with CC, was it July 4th when he made the commitment, right? That was like the holy shit, Miami's doing something serious in recruiting, getting the number one tackle in the country. Where do you see this year kind of shaping up where okay, now the ball's starting to get rolling? Like for the people who don't really follow recruiting to the level that you do, like where the stars and things like that factor in, where do you see that starting to take shape after the June visits or more so after the season because they're waiting to see?
Yeah, I think a little of both. I think you'll see, after the June visits, depending on what they have planned, because a lot of them depend on when we get them. Are they going to visit us first and then where are they going and all that stuff? So, you take your June visits and then kind of into July. And by the way, I was on my boat when he committed last year. I was on the lake and you asked Rosta about the phone call he got. Because I'm over here on my phone and my wife's like, hey, are you gonna come hang out with anybody? I'm like, hey, I'm working, man. These are priorities over here. And when I seen that happen, and I'm in Tennessee, right? So everybody was telling me, man, he's going to Tennessee, he's going to Tennessee. And when that happened, fireworks, man. So I think long about that same time, man, after those June visits come through, July, last year. We landed him, and that was kind of the big one at that time. You know what I'm saying? Then you started seeing some other guys follow suit. And so I would say probably around July, something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's Mario. We could see something sooner, but I think when you really start seeing things go, and I know a lot of folks are impatient, but it's like I keep saying, if you haven't learned patience with Mario right now, you're going to be miserable because whether it's recruiting or coaching hires or whatever the case may be, he does it on his time. And he exhausts all avenues, looks into everything, does everything the right way, makes sure everything's going to line up. You also got to make sure that it's going to be a fit here and not just we're going to get this guy, here we go. He's got to be a fit. He's got to fit what you want to do. He's got to fit what we're doing and, the mindset and the workload and the expectations and blah, blah, blah. But, so I think it's going to be exciting in June because you're going to see those visits and things like that. And then probably after that, July, mid-July, something like that, you should start getting some fireworks.
All right.
Cool.
So what you got?
Man. I just got one more, man. Talking about the visits. So with the new rule that recruits can take as many visits as they want to now, not just the 5 officials. Do you see recruits' timelines kind of changing or being extended? Because now I'm not limited to 5 visits, right? I can go to 30 schools if I want to. It can't be the same school, but I can go to 30 different schools on official visits.
Yeah.
Do you see timelines moving up or moving back now because of that?
Yeah, I think it'll have to, honestly, because right now, I mean, you go from 5 to do whatever you want to do. And, every recruit that I talk to or say anything to, one thing I always say is take as many visits as you possibly can. And up to now, it's meant, okay, well, I mean, I can only take 5, and I get that. But one day, you're going to be an old dude like me sitting on the couch on Saturday watching TV, and whether you played at Miami or not, you're going to be able to look and go, oh, man, I visited that place. I went to Bama. I visited Ohio State. I went there. You know what I'm saying? Go take the visit, man. See what they got to say. You might be surprised. This is your future, man. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot that goes into it. So now all of a sudden you take that and you go from 5 to you go wherever you want, when you want or what, or, how many times you want to do it. So yeah, I think you'll definitely see some timelines move back unless it's somebody who's kind of had in their, mind, this is really where I want to go. I've kind of got it narrowed down, kind of had this sort of in the works for a year or so. But I think a lot of the young men who really, they don't know where they want to go, I think it's going to open up, just so many more opportunities. You would have to encourage them, to take them if they can and go see what else is out there. And I think that's going to affect, we love these, top school lists, this is my top 4, this is my top 6. Well, now all of a sudden they can go visit all these schools. So it's going to make that a little more difficult to narrow it down to just 4 or something like that. So, I think it's definitely going to push some things back, though. I don't see how it wouldn't.
Right.
All right, David. Last question, man. This is how we do it on recruiting. Give me your dream 5. Right, I'm gonna break it down to you like this because you do both, so you do the trenches. Give me 3 defensive linemen and 2 offensive linemen that are, if they're in this recruiting class, you are gonna go crazy on the lake again.
Offensive line easy, Brandon Baker and Papa Afua. I mean, I can get that out right now. I mean, those 2 dudes right there. You give me those 2 cats right there, and yeah, we're on the boat. Defense, like I said, man, that's pretty simple because you can literally take a whole handful of guys and really land a solid class. If I had to narrow it down, I'll go with David Stone because, he's been in the mix for a minute. He's at IMG. I know he's from Oklahoma, but Miami's home. And so I think,
I want to go back to Oklahoma.
What you want to do in Oklahoma, man? Come on.
I lived in Oklahoma. I lived in Oklahoma City for a year, man.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're going to need you to talk to him then. We're going to need somebody to know.
Never went back.
Yeah. Nah. I think he's been on the radar so long in his name. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be not just for obvious reasons of what he can do on the field, but for the class, for the fan base. You know what I'm saying? And he's one of those dudes that's been on here for so long, and you've heard, like I said, man, he's not going to come here. And now all of a sudden he's on campus, and he's back on campus. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, you might as well just
IMG teammates.
Yeah. What does that do?
Payne, Jaden Wayne. I mean, Jaden Wayne. Yeah. Bobby Goa.
Francis.
Teammates, man.
Yeah. And then the teammates he's got at IMG currently, you know what I'm saying? That just continues. There's a lot of important things goes on if you can land him. Not just what he does on the field, but what it can do for recruiting down the road. It just continues to bring those guys in. Not to mention a guy that Jaden Jackson. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you get David Stone, and if he could convince him to come here, I'd probably go T.A. Cunningham on my second one. And again, Central, yeah, for what it does down the road, because I don't know if you're familiar with his little brother, and actually I should say younger brother, because if you've seen the pictures, you don't know which is big. You're like, well, he's bigger than he. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think if you could create that, we talked about relationships. You know what I'm saying? If you could grab David Stone, you could grab P.A. Cunningham. Jaden Jackson, but then I'll go with the dude that you mentioned, Justin Scott. I mean, just absolute. That's one of those that we kind of went, oh, seriously? Like he's interested? We got a chance? We're in? Yeah, we do. I mean, Jason Taylor has made an impression there, so that's kind of that effect that you wanted and you're getting. So if you can give me those 3 on the D line, those 2 on the O line, I'll go home happy.
Nice,
awesome, man. David, man, really appreciate having you on the show, man. We're definitely gonna have you again. As always, we always tell everybody, man, once you come on the show, you family. So whenever you want to come on, talk about whatever you want to talk about, bring it on, man. It's a Kings thing, man. We family here. I like to call it our green tree.
Yeah, we was already family, man, but now we're like we just gotta we're close. And now we got to bond.
Exactly. That's it,
anytime, man. My pleasure.
I appreciate the time, man. We'll talk to you again, David.
All right, man. Sounds good. All back to you, baby.
Peace, Dave. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Sir. Yep.
Yeah, man. Ooh, son, let me tell you something. Justin Scott, T.A. Cunningham,
and buddy.
We got to see like
buddy.
When we saw Justin Scott, I was like, hold up, man. Like this guy, man, is in high school.
Yeah, man.
Wild.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get into this Caneswear ad, and we got a question from the fans.
Welcome to Caneswear. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
Hey, man, you know what it is, man. Caneswear's the family. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be there again, most likely. You know what I mean? In a couple weeks, depending on when it opens up. As soon as things pop, you never know. You never know where we should go, man. You never know when
we might pop up, man.
Yeah, man. You might just see it on a random Tuesday, man. You never know, man. Look, man. David will listen to the show, man. You got a $10 gift card for coming on the show, man. Thank you so much. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk. I know you got a Caneswear account, so I ain't even gonna trip about it. I know that's where you got the water bottle, man.
Yeah,
so yeah,
we
man.
Did we have a winner for last week? I think we do, right?
Yeah, we got 2 winners, man. Shout out to Chalupa, man. Shout out to CB. You know what I'm saying? Doing the ad on the show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of comments, man. We got the 2 winners already commented on their YouTube post. Cube and Gage Shoddy on YouTube, man. Y'all the winners for this week, man. Make sure you send us your information to our You Heard Pod. You know what I'm saying, DM. Make sure you got a Caneswear account, and then we'll let the good guys know over there, man. And you get $10 off your purchase, man. It's free money, man. It's free money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? All right, man. Let's get into this. Shout out to Pope Kane dropping the questions, man.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it? Yeah. No, wait. That's not the.
That's one of them, right?
Yeah, that's one of them. Nah, but I thought that was a.
I felt like that was last week.
Yes, hold up, man. I don't know what happened. Technical difficulties, guys. Give me a second here. Oh, I know what the question was. I remember now. He was talking about the negativity of the fan base, right? When he was like, "Look, man, the fan base been negative coming off the TVD, debacle situation from the week before, the whole NIL thing." He was asking when do you think it'll turn around? When will the fan base stuff? Yeah, we gotta win, right?
That's what it's gonna be, man. I can't knock. Listen, man, I can't knock the negativity on certain things. But winning cures everything, man. So until we start winning, and even just fighting and looking better, you know what I mean? Yep. Until we stop losing to teams we shouldn't lose to, and we start fighting with teams we should be fighting with, it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same. So
facts.
Yeah,
man. I think it just takes time, man. I think we're a fan base that's been so soured on losing for so long that we're sore losers. You know what I mean? We hate losing because we've seen what winning feels like.
Yeah.
It takes time, man. It takes time, but I don't know if we're that patient to have that kind of, you know what I mean? To have that kind of time. And I don't know if this is a make or break year for a lot of people. You know what I mean? I'm wondering about that. So we'll see, man. It's a lot going on, man. It's a lot going on.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, so yeah, I think I got a question right. Yeah, lots of negativities with the fan base the last few days. What's it going to take, in your opinion, to get them back on track and not be so on the fence?
Yeah,
it's going to take winning, but it's going to take a realization that we're in a new sport now. This isn't the sport. This isn't the same game that we grew up watching. It's NIL, it's transfer portal, it's free agency randomly. You know what I mean? Shout out to the guests we're having on Sunday's show to explain to us the NIL situation and how that all works. You know what I mean? It's a process.
Oh, my guy just dropped off, man. Let me see what's going on here. I don't know if he hit the wrong button or not. But yeah, he gone. It's my show now. He left me. It's me. I've been wanting to do this on my own anyway, man, because I feel like, oh, here you come. Let me just calm down.
Yeah.
Hey, what up, brother? Yeah.
I don't know.
Man.
Yeah, man. I don't know what happened. Hey, man, I was speaking too much. You know what I mean? That they want to hear me NIL. Look, it's gonna take some time, man. To
government cut you off, son.
Son, they said it was too much, man. Keeping it too real, fam.
Too
man, look,
controversial.
yeah, like it's gonna take we just gotta get used to this new style, man. That's all. It's gonna take some time, and for me too. Like I reacted crazy initially. Then I was like, yeah, you know what, man, this is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, let's just be a Canes fan, and you know what I'm saying, who comes through, and who doesn't.
Sure.
All right, fam.
Let's get it.
You got anything?
Nah, man. Keyword, man. Keyword.
What you do,
man?
NIL, man, Trent. Man. No, okay. We're going trenches, dog. Trenches, okay. Man. Drop it in the comments, man. If you listen all the way through, trenches, man. Yep. T-R-A inches, man. Y'all know how to spell it. Come on now, man. That trenches, man. All right, guys, we got nothing else, man. I'm Ben. That's my big brother Joe. You know what I'm saying? He probably wants to go take a nap.
Going to sleep, right? I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, I know you are, man. I know you are. All right, fam. We out.